What is going on, everyone? It is time to update the worst states in America list for 2019. Last year's video did really well, but eventually got age restricted and then demonetized when YouTube decided to raise the bar for advertisers on what's acceptable. The video had a street fight in it. Okay, I get it. We won't be making that mistake this year. It doesn't matter what state it is, someone always thinks it's the worst. For example, New Hampshire, which is considered to be the best state in the union by most researchers, is often brought up in the comment sections of YouTube videos by people claiming that they live there and they think New Hampshire sucks and it's the worst state. The first thing I do when I see a comment like this is I check the comment for spelling and grammatical errors. If I find more than one, I doubt they're from New Hampshire. New Hampshire's always in the top 3 of education. But New Hampshire won't be on this list. It won't be anywhere near this list. This list is about the worst of the worst. You know, those states that are often part of a punchline and a joke told at a dive bar? Yeah, those states. A couple of the states from last year's list won't be on this year's. They've gotten better. And to be honest, a couple of them will be missed. They were really easy to make jokes about. I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss you, West Virginia. Now, I have a lot of subscribers from West Virginia that should be excited about this. Matter of fact, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button down below. This list is all about livability. This is sort of a measurement that takes things like crime, schools, air quality, costs, traffic, and a few other things into consideration and come out with this livability grade. It's used by a couple different websites. All the states on this list score a big fat F. So good job. Now I'm sure this list is gonna tick some of you off. I mean, I'm kind of talking bad about your state, but the only thing I can say to you is make your state better. Do something positive for the state and make it better. Maybe in a couple of years it won't be on the list. That being said, let's take a look at my top 10 worst states in America for 2019. Number 10, New Mexico. New Mexico. Everybody's go-to state to make them feel better about where they live. The most common use of the words New Mexico goes something like this. Sure, it sucks living here, but at least it ain't New Mexico. This gem of a state calls itself the land of enchantment, but if you know anything about the state, you know that this is a form of geographical fake news. In 2018, the most recent completed year of statistics for the FBI, New Mexico recorded the 3rd highest rate of property crime and the 4th in violent crime. In the first quarter of 2018, the Albuquerque Police Department reported a 50% increase in homicides from the year before. New Mexico had the 4th highest rate of drug deaths in the United States in 2018, and a quarter of its children live in poverty. For the 2nd year in a row, the state has been guilty of the highest rate of stolen vehicles. Make sure you have good car insurance if you live in New Mexico, or even visit. Drive by, make sure you got good insurance. Number 9, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is probably the state that sent me the most hate over the last few years. I've been told never to come to that state more than any other place. And stop typing. I know you're sitting there and you're wanting to say something brilliant and original. It won't be. Scroll down. You'll see whatever comment you're about to put in there about 20 other times. Oklahoma leads the country in 3 things: barbecue, least amount of sidewalks, and the most pedestrians hit by trucks with gun racks. The Cowboy State has the 4th highest rate of on-the-job deaths in the nation. Now that's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Oklahoma also has a high obesity rate. Regular exercise does loads to improve your general well-being and quality of life, yet only about half the Oklahomans report that they've actually exercised within the last year, or at all. Healthcare and crime really bring Oklahoma down. They also have 16% of their residents on food stamps currently. Number 8, Missouri. Just recently I did videos on the worst neighborhoods in America, and Missouri made it on those lists more than once. St. Louis and Kansas City have some pretty scary neighborhoods. The Show Me State has one of the highest violent crime rates in the nation. In 2017, the state reported 600 murders. That's an 11% increase from the year before. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, the state lacks protection against discrimination, as well as discrimination laws, especially related to employment, including protections for age and marital status. So if you're an older person that's married, don't move here looking for work and don't go looking for drugs. Apparently, they have enough drugs, they'll probably find you. Missourians are getting high more frequently than any other state, and that's according to a study that puts them at number 1 for drug use. Congratulations, Missouri. You're number 1 at something. Number 7. California. It's California, so yeah, you know it's bad, especially if you live there, you read, or you watch TV. The western portion of the state is astronomically expensive, and the eastern portion of the state is dirt poor. And stop typing. I'm sure you could cherry pick some town on the eastern portion that's doing pretty good. Don't. They have some of the dirtiest cities in the country, despite having some of the strictest environmental laws, which I find really strange. Actually, I don't. If you saw how California functioned, like I have, you see it totally makes sense. The Golden State has the worst quality of life based on a variety of social and environmental factors, including the sense of community and air pollution. Maybe that's why people have been leaving this place like it's on fire, and lately the place has been on fire. Whole communities have been burnt to the ground in recent years due to wildfires. Great job, California. More people are leaving California than moving there, breaking a 120-year streak. That started about 4 years ago. Number 6. Indiana. Indiana, the home of our current number 2 man, Mike Pence, is a disaster by most people's standards. The Hoosier state isn't known for its tolerance of all the Americans who live and work within its borders. After intense outcry from business leaders and citizens, the state in 2015 adjusted its deeply controversial Religious Freedom Restoration Act soon after it was signed into law by then Governor Mike Pence. The changes, also approved by Pence, helped ease fears that the law could be used to justify discrimination. But Indiana still lacks protection against discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, age, and marital status. While in Indiana, you might not want to breathe. This is because the 40 million pounds of toxic fumes generated by Indiana's coal plants every single year. This helps make Indiana the most polluted of all the 50 states. Good work, Hoosiers. Number 5. Mississippi. It's Mississippi, and I know what you're thinking. Why isn't it number 1 on this list? Well, that's because the Magnolia State has made great strides in bettering their situation. I mean, great strides for Mississippi. Let's be serious. You can't be that bad for that long and just work your way off a negative top 10 list in 1 year. No way. Elvis Presley, a Mississippi native, went from being the sexiest man on the planet to being an overweight dude who died while on the toilet in just a couple decades. A bunch of Mississippians appear to be following this life plan. The Magnolia State has the second highest obesity rate in the country and the nation's highest cardiovascular death rate in 2018. Oh, and they're knocking it out of the park when it comes to cancer deaths. You know it's a bad state when the number 1 thing on most residents' bucket list is rent a U-Haul. Number 4. Tennessee. Most people not from this part of the country are a little shocked to find out that Memphis, Tennessee is one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Memphis helps bring down this great state. Now, it shocked me when I first kind of started learning about this. Everyone I've ever met from this state, and when I visited Nashville, they're wonderful people. Now, to be fair, they do have problems elsewhere in the state, but Memphis does excel at sucking. With the 5th highest violent crime rate in the nation, the volunteer state could still use some more people to volunteer, maybe rat out your neighbors or something. They might also want to stop smoking. That might help the state's alarmingly high rate of premature deaths. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, for every 100,000 people in Tennessee, nearly 10,000 of them die before the age of 75. That is more than 30% higher than the national average. They also lead the country in childhood obesity. That's not good. They have bad air quality, poor health grades, and other than Nashville, they have very few other places to do things. It's a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, unless you like hunting and stuff like that, but to like go places, amusement, they're really not that much. Number 3, New York. Yeah, it's New York. Just like California, it sucks these days. They share some of the same issues that are driving people out of California. It's overpriced, it's overcrowded, and it's just kind of over. People aren't moving here like they once were. The shine has left the Big Apple. New York has terrible air quality, terrible weather, and dangerous cities. The housing costs alone normally kill anyone's dream of moving to the Empire State. Now, I understand New York City plays a big part of bringing down the ability for New York State to get on a list like this, but the other cities aren't really that great either. Anyway, affordability, healthcare, weather, not a good place for families is what brings New York down. Number 2, Alabama. Alabama really doesn't have a lot of things you could, let's say, put in the win column. They boast the highest number of drunk diving deaths every single year. They lead the country in teen pregnancy. Their schools are always ranked as one of the worst in the nation. And I have personally seen billboards in Phoenix City, Alabama, reminding people that hooking up with a close relative is not just a bad idea, but it's actually against the law. The Cotton State has one of the highest crime rates in the nation, the lowest concentration of mental health providers, and this is another one of those states that has very little protection from discrimination of all kinds. When it comes to health care for pregnant women and infants, Alabama has the highest infant mortality rate in the country, with 9 infant deaths out of every 1,000 live births. And number 1, it's a tie. Arkansas and Louisiana. For the first time here on The World According to Briggs, we have a tie. These two states suck so bad it was hard to separate the two of them. The good news is that they're right next to each other, so if you have like one of those old school maps, it's easier to circle the two of them and write never go here in black Sharpie. According to a recent study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 16% of Arkansas residents and 17% of Louisiana folk report frequent mental distress. Both states share the same stat of 1/3 of their children live in poverty. Both have alarmingly high on-the-job death rates, and both have miserable weather. Sound good so far? They both share similar stats when it comes to drug use and arrests. Crime in general is high, maybe a little bit higher in Louisiana, but it's pretty high in both states. Remember that thing when I said you circle it on the map and write never go here? That's solid advice. Alright, so that's my top 10 worst states in America for 2019. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Hope you know where not to go this year. As always, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Don't forget to leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Whatever you think. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.